Teenagers who are burdened with anxieties and tensions are not free to learn. Young people frequently use failing to learn as a protective mechanism against authority. Approximately 80% of the 7.5 million American college students will suffer some symptoms of depression. Campus depression will play a role in about 500 suicides per year.
From the moment a child enters school, he confronts pressure. He has to leave the security of home and accept the new pressure at school with teachers, administrators, counselors. As the years progress, added pressures increase with college qualifying exams, SATs, proficiency tests of all sorts, plus of course trying out for the team, student body officers, and then dating and all the rest of the problems that teenage life ensues. Hi, I'm Joe Feinstein, and today on Teen Talk we're going to discuss this most frightening and awesome but terribly challenging problem of school pressures. Welcome, panel. Welcome to Teen Talk. And today I wonder what type of pressures are you presently feeling at school? Jenny?
Well, one pressure I had when I started junior high was I noticed that my friends since kindergarten were discovering like drugs, and they wanted to ditch and they wanted me to come with them. But
Teen Talk on school pressures. A discussion with host Joe Feinstein and 7 high school students on the subject of school pressures.
Okay. What types of pressures are you facing, Mike?
Well, there's just, like right now, is the elections. I ran for student body president and lost, and that's over with, and I'm over that now. A friend of mine won. I'm happy for him and everything. And finals are coming up, and I think I'll do well and everything, but I just really gotta study.
Mm-hmm. Sherry, any pressures going on?
I have a big pressure. It's peer pressure. Just this fall, me and someone were very close, and all of a sudden he just broke our relationship for what seemed like no reason at all. And just recently I found out it was because his friends were pressuring him that I wasn't enough of one kind of person or I was too much of another kind, and subsequently, you know, he couldn't take that, so he chose his friends over me. And I understand that because I realize how much you know, social acceptance is to teenagers at this age.
So you had the peers and you've had student body problems. Vince, what's been going on with you?
Basically right now the problem I'm facing is trying out for the team, going home every night wondering whether I'm going to play basketball this year. And it's really hard when you know you can play better and you're trying out, but then the pressure's on that at that certain time you have to play at your peak, and right now I'm not playing at my peak, and it's just hard sometimes going home thinking about what I should have done or what I could do.
There's always that nagging doubt in your head, yes. Always. Stuart, what about you?
I just graduated, and peers are like the biggest problem that I've had because it's hard to feel good inside when you think someone's feeling bad against you. Or like my girlfriend, she'd get mad if she wasn't happy, and I'd feel really bad. And it's hard to adjust in school and work in school with your parents on your case, and just feeling comfortable when you know maybe someone on the other side of the room is upset with you or something, or you're not communicating with someone real easy, and I get all nervous.
This kind of nervousness is generally referred to as stress. And stress, there's a man named Professor Hans Selye, and he talks about stress a lot. He talks about 2 kinds of stress. Eustress, EU stress, which is the good kind, the kind of stress that makes you feel good and builds up anxiety, maybe before you're going on a date or preparation for a test. And he talks about distress, the kind that's unproductive, the kind that, kind of hits you right in the bonanza there and really gets to you and causes a lot of pain. And I'm wondering, is school the focal point of most of your stress?
Yes.
Vince,
yeah,
yes?
I think so, because at school you're mostly there half your life. I mean, not half your life, but half your life when you're a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel that when you come home, that you just there half, and then you go to school, that's half. So when you come home, you think about what you did at school, basically.
So between mom and dad and home, and then with school, that's pretty much
yes.
your life. Chevy, what about you?
Well, school is worse for me because once you go home, your family understands you, and the teachers really don't have time enough to understand because they have their job to do. which you can't take things out on them, you know, and when you do on your family, they understand more.
Stress is it's so hard because you don't have anyone to talk to at school, and you come home and you talk to your parents, and sometimes they don't have time for you. So it's really hard to find a place to talk to someone. And I mean, a lot of times I'd try to go to a counselor or something at school because that's what they're there for. But they're busy setting up your classes or something. And I don't have, you know, no one has time. No one seems to have time but your friends. And, you know, then when you're in a fight with your friends or something, the same problem comes up. There's no one to talk to or no one to
talk to. No one to talk to. That's a good point, Mike.
And it all, like, I think school is the center point of that, and it all comes together when you get home and you got all this homework, and mom says, go pick up your sister, go do this and that, and you got all this homework, and just everything's kind of centered around school until you're out of it. And like like when I go away to college, I know it'll be a lot different because I'll be independent.
Well, you may be independent, but you're going to face a lot of stress there too, because the demands of college curriculum is extremely great. You know, 2 hours of homework for every hour of class.
But I'll be the one that's doing it, and it's my decision. I don't know where I'm going to go to school, but if I'm away, then I won't have my parents there to tell me, go do your homework, or go pick up your sister, or do this.
The common denominator of stress is change. And teenagers are in a process now of changing dramatically, physiologically in their body, psychologically, mentally, emotionally. All these changes are rapid and are continuing throughout the teenage years. Tell me, panel, does the school help you cope with some of these changes that are going on inside of you? Stuart?
I feel that in a large school it's hard to see a change, or a teacher or someone finding a change in you. But in a smaller school, because I changed to a smaller school, I found that the teachers were easier to find out if you had a problem. They were able to see it. There were less people to have to worry about. And they prepare you, you know, mentally. They help you. They help understand and explain things to you about what's going to be ahead of you. And they detect the problem that's wrong with you just by if you're worried or you can't seem to cope in the classroom.
Cindy, you're at a comprehensive public high school. Do you find that the teachers are helpful in teaching you how to cope with stress?
No, not many of them. I feel that some of the classes offered and the teachers, you know, they really care and they try to help you. But most of the teachers are just there to get their money to pay the bills, and I don't feel that they're helping me at all, you know, in the changes that I'm going through now. And
Mike?
Well, I think I go to the same school as Cindy does, and I'm pretty fortunate. I've had good teachers, and I think they have helped me. Most of them have cope with stress, and just watching it, all my friends change too kind of helps too, and watching the way everyone is at school. And I don't think that if I were at a smaller school it would be any, you know, easier to cope with stress, because I'm pretty close to the teachers now.
Are your parents helpful with this stuff, Jenny?
Yeah, well, if I have stress, I usually talk to my mom about it, or if, like, I have a best friend at school who's a really good friend, and I can talk to her about anything, and that helps.
So unburdening yourself and talking about the problem is a helpful kind of thing for you. Chevy, what about you?
The teachers, to me, really don't help. Like Cindy said, they're really just there to pay their bills. I've had a couple teachers tell me that that was the only reason they were there, was to pay their car note or their rent, you know. But I have had a couple that have cared, you know. But seeing everybody has the same depression doesn't make you feel any better.
Being in the same boat doesn't help situation. Sherry, what about you?
Well, I just recently had an experience with my counselor. I went away on a trip for about 3 weeks, and when I came back, I wasn't doing so well in one of my classes, so I went to see her to see if I could take it over. And she told me straight to my face, she said, well, your GPA is not that good anyway, so why would you want to take it over? And I was just stunned, because it's like she's telling me to maybe drop all my education now because I've messed up in 1 year, and that really, you know, shocked me to hear that. And, you know, that didn't motivate me the rest of the semester either. But it's not really her fault, because I realize the stress she's got put on her because of the public school system, you know, being so hectic, and I'm sure they have a lot of pressures they have to deal with also.
That's true. They really do. And I'm glad that you're cognizant of so much of the detail and the minutia that goes on in terms of the record keeping and the book work and all of the paperwork that is part and parcel of being a teacher in 1981. There's a lot of pressure imposed on teachers. I hope you guys are aware that there's so many things that must be done in order to really, before you can get the teaching done. And as a teacher myself, I can really speak in defense of so many teachers who are attempting to want to be this concerned individual, and at the same time having so many young people in their, under their tutelage that they really have a problem with it. Stuart, you're in a smaller school, so you've got this a little easier, don't you?
Yeah, it makes it easier because if you want to turn to someone as a teacher right there, and there's not that much bookwork that has to be done, and one person does it. A lot of times the students come in and help. It doesn't mind that the students are in there helping. It's just not like they're getting in the way and making it a pressure for you. And we're kind of understanding, and you answer the phone at school and you're not supposed to, but if you answer it at a small school, it's like, okay, so you're like all one big family, and you can just go up and talk to anybody you want, and your friends are really out to help you. But the teachers, most of all, are the people you look up to. Because a lot of us don't have anyone to look up to, I feel, and I feel that if you look up to a teacher and he understands you, then that's one goal you have. You can look up to him and respect what he has to say.
You're saying something very important as far as I'm concerned. This whole image and the need for some role models are so terribly important. Someone to kind of feel close to and to direct your attention to. Jenny?
Well, I don't think the teachers really want to get close to you. I think they're just, at my school, they're just there to do their job and nothing else, really.
Have you ever taken advantage and asked them, have you put yourself out to say, hey, I need you?
No, I really haven't.
Mm-hmm. Because I think a lot of that sometimes begins with you reaching out to them, saying, I need some help, I need some encouragement, I need something. And very often young people are very remiss in not doing that. I'll tell you, I told my classes that I would stay after class, after school, anytime that anybody wanted to use my time or efforts or energy. And I want you to know that in that whole year, no one came to see me.
Well, I had a problem like that, and my teacher said, and he told the whole class, oh, I'm here before school, my conference period is, a certain period, come in and talk to me, we'll talk everything out. And I went there, I got to school early to meet him, and he wasn't there. And when I talked to him about that in class, he said, well, you got to get there really early, I'm busy, and he just dropped it at that.
What could you have done? What would have been a good idea at that time to kind of make him understand that you were there and that you did need him?
Well, the whole semester has given me the impression he really doesn't care about the students. And I think he just felt like saying that because he didn't want to deal with it in class. He didn't feel like talking about it. So he said, meet me before school or after school, and then we'll talk about it. And when I went there to meet him, he wasn't there. Well,
then you always have a right to say, sir, I really need your help, and I really wanted you to be there for me. And I came this morning. Was there a reason that you weren't there for me?
Cindy, again, like most students don't realize, but teachers have, I think, 147 students.
Try 175.
Right, yeah, a day. And they're under a lot of stress and strain also. And even though they want to be there, sometimes they just can't be.
For whatever reasons that do occur, and there are many. Vince, what have you found at school?
It depends really on who's your teacher, because I found that some of my teachers, they really help me out, because sometimes I come in the classroom feeling low, and they ask me, Vince, is something wrong? And I'll tell them, and then afterwards I feel much better after telling them.
Panel, it would be nice if we could give some help to all the listeners and viewers out there in terms of suggestions on stress. What do you do to avoid stress? What suggestions would you offer to help alleviate some of the problems of stress?
One way that I counteracted it was last year I was a teacher's assistant for one of the counselors in the schools. You know, seeing their paperwork and everything, I knew that there was a lot of kids out there who just needed someone to talk to during the day, you know, who it wasn't really serious enough to go home about, but just needed someone to talk to. So being his TA, he took care of most of the paperwork, and if there was someone who just, you know, needed a pat on the shoulder or a pat on the back or something, you know, I would be there for them to just come and talk to it. And in turn, that made me feel good, because that made me feel like I was alleviating some of the stress from someone else.
Okay, that's neat. A pat on the shoulder. These kinds of encouraging words can always be helpful. What do you do? What would you suggest, Mike?
Like she said, like one counselor at my school, I just go in there, like she's not my counselor, but I just go in there and talk to her, because she just, you know, likes to talk to the students and likes to feel close to them. And it, you know, it's good to have, you know, counselors like that. And there are some, you know, not all the teachers can be like that, but there are a lot that are. In grades, you know, they do a lot of stress with getting the grades, but if you just don't worry about them that much, you'll do all right.
How do you not worry about grades? You're very concerned about them.
Okay, well, you do your, I don't know, you just do your work, and you just, you know you do well. I mean, if you just do everything and study what you have to, and don't worry that much about them, it's not the end of the world.
Just
You guys make up your mind. It's day one, the new semester's begun, and you say, I'm going to do it. This semester's going to be unlike any other semester. I'm going to really do all the homework and all my assignments. I promise everybody that I'm going to do it. And then all of a sudden it's day two. What happens, Cindy?
Then you just kind of start slacking off. You know, you're really into it, but slowly you start moving on to doing your other things, and you know, you get into maybe work or going out having a good time, and you don't really worry so much about school, and you don't concentrate on it.
I think also you put so much stress on yourself that there's so much there that you feel you're going to put school away just to get it out of the way. And you'd rather relieve the stress by going out with your friends and having a good time. I mean, that's what I
Do you have any suggestions, Stuart, of how to reduce that stress on yourself?
Just, if you think positive for a while, I feel if you think positive and just say to yourself a couple times, you know, I can do it, or, you know, I'm not going to make it if I don't read the books. I might as well just start reading the book. And think to yourself, if you think positive in yourself and make yourself feel good, I feel that it will come out in the long run. You can't just sit there and dwell on the idea that...
You remember the little train that could? Yeah. I think I can, I think I can, I think I can. And, you know, if you really think you can, maybe, just maybe, you'll be giving yourself that kind of message. Jenny?
Also, you have to really want to do good, because, like, I feel like I really want to get the good grades, and so I do work. And, like, in school, usually if you're at the top of the class, and then all of a sudden you don't do as well as, you know, on a test or something, the whole class turns. You were supposed to get an A on everything.
So you pressure yourself so much.
You pressure yourself. So what happens when you screw up a little bit and it doesn't come out just the way you want? How do you forgive yourself and treat yourself calmly when you come up with the C or the D or the fail in a test? Chevy, what do you do?
Well, if I get a C and I know that that's the best I could do, you know, then I feel good about it. But if I know I could have done better, then of course I'm going to feel down. But there's people around you that give you encouragement to say, well, next time, you know, let's even try harder, you know.
Do you give it to Chevy? Do you say, next time I am going to try harder?
Yeah.
You do? Do you do that, Sherry?
No, but I think that the answer to all
I wish
this
you would have said yes.
stress. I'm sorry, but no, I love her point. I think the answer to all the stress is believe in yourself. Believe that you can be the best that you want to be, and just go out there and make it.
Okay. And when you're on the basketball court, are you the best out there, Vince?
No, not all the time.
Not all the time.
But you always have to think positive and never quit. That's the poster I have.
As
always
long as
read
you're
it.
positive, I feel that you can make it, but you also lose it though. When you feel positive, you come home with a bad grade, and then your parents are on your back, and you say, okay, well, I'm gonna do my best. I'm gonna do my best. Your parents come home, and you just reject against school because that's what you were trying hard for. Your parents don't see that in you, but you know you have to do the house chores and take care of everything else. And it's just the pressure's building up in you to do good. You feel bad, and then you have no place to break it.
Do any of you have any suggestions on how to help the people out there with their parents?
Well, they
Mike?
the parents, you know, they put a lot of pressure on you by telling you got to get these grades. If they'd be maybe more understanding and say, well, like right now I'm doing not too well in algebra, and I started doing really well, and my dad's like saying a C is not good enough. And if that's the best I can get, that is. I mean, I think I can get a B, but it's just I got to work a little harder, and I'll get a B if I do work harder. But if he didn't keep nagging me to, you got to get a B, you got to get a B. It's like my life that I have to get a B.
PST, praise, support, and trust. Those are the ingredients that everybody needs lots and lots of. At school, in a recent research that was done, they found out that when there's a lot of trust existing between teachers and students, it works very beneficially for everybody. And at home, between parents and children, when there's praise and support coming from all sides, that too works wonderfully. I would suggest that parents, you encourage your kids in every which way. Will it be all right with you if your kids come home with C's and D's occasionally? Or perhaps if they score 300 on your SAT instead of 800, will that be all right? Kids, I would certainly encourage you people to take it easier a little bit. Realize that you can't make every team, and you can't get into every sport, and you can't get onto every student body election. Those things come with the bittersweet as well as the good. And also remember that if he or she doesn't call you, it's not the end of the world. There's always another time. There's always another person coming along. Two good books to read while you're thinking about this. Certainly Schools Without Failure by Dr. William Glasser, and I'm Okay, You're Okay by Dr. Thomas Harris answer some of the problems that you need about school pressure. Panel, I want to thank you very much. This is Joe Feinstein saying, easy, take it easy, be nice to yourself. Later.